Hello and welcome to the Punished for Protecting Live broadcast with your host, Francesca Amato, national expert in the Americans with Disabilities Act, domestic violence and child abuse advocate, best-selling author, and founder of Punished for Protecting Incorporated. We welcome all of our viewers watching on Facebook via Punished for Protecting News and the CPS News Network. If you're watching on YouTube at Punish No More and Free to Protect, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. You can also find Punish for Protecting News on Rumble. Now, without further ado, here is your host, Francesca Amato.
Well, good evening and welcome tonight to our show, Punished for Protecting Live broadcast. You can see on the screen I have a photograph of a judge. This judge's name is Dishonorable Judge Nora Shepard. And tonight we're going to be showing you some behind the scenes actions of this specific judge. It's really quite appalling what I'm going to show you tonight. So don't touch that dial. No matter where you're watching us from this evening, whether it be Punished for Protecting News on Rumble, on YouTube, Punish No More and Free to Protect, or here on Facebook, we welcome you and we thank you. Be sure to share this amazing message this evening. This particular judge not just has harmed one of my clients, but judges like her harm clients every single day, harm human beings, harm people. Medical clinicians, take an oath to do no harm. And the same goes with any oath that is taken in this country to do no harm. I think that it should be strongly emphasized in our nation that judges should really have an even stronger oath to do no harm. We're going to show you tonight, and you're going to see how this judge specifically targeted me. So I thought you might enjoy that. That's probably not the right words to use, but I thought you all might, really be interested in seeing how this judge attacked me. And I wasn't even there to defend myself. And the things that she said about me, I find that my viewers will find quite interesting. I have been fighting for families, both children mostly, and protective parents, and majority of them are, good moms and dads, for many, many years now. Selflessly, I have been honored by many written reports by assemblymen and congressmen and so on, saying about my kind of nonstop work, helping families and trying my hardest to protect children. I really do feel that every day in this country, when a child comes back home to a safe home, is out of a group home or out of a, residential treatment center where they're abused, and we know the elderly have been abused in senior housing and things like that, senior living, and also when children are taken away from those places and placed back into their biological blood families, that we are definitely indeed protecting them from the child trafficking industry, which I have tied all the statistics to over the years. And, everything is out there and very much made public. Multiple rights that I stand for in our country are foundational rights, such as the Articles of Human Rights, in which I do have a credential as an expert, is one of the many things that we fight for in this country to ensure the safety and protection of ourselves and our children, and human life. And again, I can't reiterate the fact that taking an oath, and I've never taken an oath, but I do one before God every day, to do no harm. And we see all over this country that that's not happening. I'm going to be showing many, many videos. I wouldn't have enough hours in the day to show you how many children have been viciously harmed, physically harmed, S word harmed. I don't know if I could say that because I don't want to lose my channels, or have been harmed emotionally and so on and so forth, whereby, without the help of assistants like myself, advocates like ourselves, children continue to suffer. But also to show you as many as we can fit in a show this evening, and children who have been completely unalived, thanks to judges like this that are making court orders haphazardly. And you're going to see just what they do when they think we're not watching tonight. I have very special guests on tonight. My own assistant, Hannah Rose, was supposed to be here tonight, but something very important came up. So she unfortunately can't be here. But I just want you to know that my organization and my group of people that work with us and, literally work just around the clock here to help families are very much in support of this particular family and all our families. We love each and every one of you. But tonight I have someone who I honor very much. He's a colleague, a friend, and I just love him. He's a wonderful human being. He's another forensic Americans with Disability Act advocate that aids and assists clients in the courts. I'm going to bring him out, Jay Shore, and also my client, Ashley Carter, and her mom, Susan. They are the victims of this judge. They are some of the victims, because obviously the children are the main victims of this judge. But this is showing you, when I show one judge, it kind of carries over to multiple judges, as we know. I am a best-selling author. I've exposed Judge Anthony McGinty over the years. As you can see, if you pay any attention whatsoever, he's been giving children to even pedos. He's given children to, you name it. This is just crazy making. I mean, this is legitimately crazy making. And he's not the only one, obviously, that does that. We've had this issue repeatedly and ongoing, where judges are just giving children, pardon me for my dogs, giving children to abusers of, it doesn't matter the level of abuse. There seems to be no moral compass when it comes to being a judge in family court. But without further ado, let me bring out all my guests right now. I'm going to bring out Jay Shore, and I'm going to bring out, hello there.
Hey.
Bring out Ashley and her mom, Susan. Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Howdy.
Hi. One of the things we might want to do, everybody, is just mute when someone else is talking. Kind of keep an eye on that. The system itself will mute you when we have a video playing. Just remember to unmute when it's your time. Jay, I'm going to have you go ahead and just kind of start letting everybody know what you do and some of the things you've seen in the family court across the country, if you don't mind.
I piss off judges. That's what I do. I have a hostile work environment. I'm kind of like Francesca. I go in and I tell a judge, you have to give the client ADA rights. You can't coerce, intimidate, threaten, or interfere. And oh, by the way, judge, you don't have any immunity. And right now I'm in federal court, and the federal court judge, Robert Jones, is actually treating me like you're talking about this judge. And so, I mean, he's accused me of unauthorized practice of law, or at least attempting to engage in unauthorized practice of law, and also did not give me the opportunity to be there when he was doing this. But I'm looking forward to cross-examining his testimony. That's going to be fun, cross-examining the testimony of a federal court judge. So I'm just letting you know right now, we do not have a justice system in America when judges have immunity, period. And I've done some research recently on judicial immunity, and they talk about how it comes from common law. Okay, that's fine, except for the fact that we have a constitution that we're supposed to base our laws on, and there is no basis in the Constitution for judicial immunity. And if you think about it, it's absurd to have someone sitting 4 feet above everyone else, wearing a robe, calling themselves honorable, and making you call them your honor, and saying that you have to be accountable to them, you have to be punished for your wrongs, and they're immune from all of that. That's just absurd. I mean, honestly, it's a dog and pony show, and I'm set out to expose it.
Well, and we have a video that we're going to show of you. I'm going to show the short version, but we have a long video that we're going to show of you within the same court of this little excerpt that we have today in another broadcast that I'm going to be interviewing you specifically on. So just remember, guys, it's going to be, there's going to be 2 parts to what you're going to see tonight, where we're exposing these judges kind of behind the scenes more, which is what we've been needing to do, because our First Amendment right, and there's multiple rights, and as ADA forensic experts, as crazy as we may be, as insane as we may be, As we're going to see tonight. As experts, we have been able to prove over and over again a lot of the corruption that's happening within these courts. And the thing is that we're people that would love to see these courts actually operate in a respectful, ethical, and moral way, that people would actually have a fair trial, and that they would be able to present an evidence-based case that is unbiased, and that all this insanity wasn't happening. Because let's face it, if all this insanity was not happening, none of us would be here speaking out all over this country in the droves that we are. I mean, TikTok alone is filled right now with kids, teenagers, and young adults that have millions of views because they are victims of the family court, ripped from their families. I have story after story of parents that have come back together with their kids who were both lied to and told that neither party wanted each other. I've got stories on my YouTube channel with the actual people. I have a dad who was told that he, whatted his child. And when she got older, when she realized who actually did it to her, and she was convinced by the system that it was her dad, and they suffered for a lifetime. And so I had them both on my show. I've had mother after mother after mother after mother that have had their children taken because they reported genuine abuse with a laundry list of actual evidence. We're talking legitimate evidence of various types of abuses, and judges just completely do this and do that. But then they want to call people like ourselves that expose this crazy, which I talk about this all the time. What will a bully do to you when they're doing you harm? They're going to say, shh, don't listen to so-and-so. They're crazy and they're liars, because they really don't have an argument. They don't have an argument. And, when we do find an attorney that actually is willing to not put up with themselves even being tortured through the family court and the bar association, and they are willing to fight, they do get blacklisted many times. But it's a wonderful thing when we can work with attorneys that are actually on our side and on our team fighting to protect families and protect their children. But without further ado, let me go ahead and just find this video of Jay's. This is, like I said, this is a short excerpt, and we're going to have a longer version. I'll be doing his broadcast interview coming up as soon as we can get it on the agenda, because boy am I inundated. I'm absolutely inundated, because unfortunately there are victims all over the place. But let me see if I can find this now. It's hard for me to just find these all, because I believe this is the one. I am not leaving, and I am recording, and if the court wants to kick me out for recording, the court has the authority to do that.
Sir, if you continue to record, I'm going to hold you in contempt. Do you have anything to say with regard to that, sir?
With regard to contempt, who is the accuser?
The court. You were in violation of the court's orders.
So you're the sole accuser, and you're going to be the adjudicator as well.
That's how it works when you're in active contempt, sir.
I encourage you to do what you must.
Then, sir, you're held in contempt. The sanction for this will be $10 for every minute that you continue to record.
A few moments later.
The court is vacating its orders entered today, most notably the order with regard to Mr. Shore and contempt.
So, Jay, I mean, so obviously you guys are seeing the small version. You guys are going to see the whole story when we have our live with Jay. But she pulled back that contempt real quick when she probably got a speaking to by somebody, I don't know who, and she admitted that the federal laws do not support her holding you in contempt. Go ahead and touch on that one. Oh, your sound. You're muted.
She just overcharged her limit on her jurisdiction card. And what happened was she was actually abusing my client. She went for about 2 hours and a half, maybe, knowing that she did not have the jurisdiction to continue. And we're actually suing her in federal court right now. And we're already to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, because the judge that is in the U.S. District Court, it appears to be involved in collusion with our opponent. So, and I mean, I'm happy to expose all this. I've been doing this long enough to where I know where the buttons are. So, I'm looking forward to seeing this through.
Oh yeah, and I'm looking forward to it too. And it's just great to see a judge completely have to turn it around. And it just goes to show that our hard work of exposing them, of knowing the laws, of knowing our rights, does pay off. It does pay off. You know, James Kelly has, a whole entire organization called Cameras in the Court, where he brings cameras in. Judge Judy was the first to, I'm not going to say I agree with every single decision she's made, but she's made some good ones and some bad ones. But I do agree with her putting cameras in the court. I mean, first of all, they're public courts. That's number one. First and foremost, they're the people's. They're not their court. I could get into all the semantics and all the truth, actually, about how this was falsely put in, how they really don't have judicial immunity, because you do not have judicial immunity when you violate the Articles of Human Rights, when you violate the Constitution, and when you violate the Americans with Disability Act, in which they violate all three every single day. So there is no immunity for that. They kind of gave themselves that icing when they decided to put these pretend courts in place in the first place. They did that. You guys want to go ahead and say hello first, and because I'm going to show a series of videos, because I'm sure Judge so-and-so, I'm sure Dishonorable Judge Nora Shepard is watching, and if she is, I would like her to get a lesson today. And maybe one of the things she did say in the video that we're going to show after the intermission is, she didn't really read the letter. She scanned it when she decided to attack me verbally several times over. And so, she doesn't believe the things we say, but maybe now today, and by watching this video, she'll start to believe the hurt and damages that judges like her have caused over the decades, and maybe she'll have a change of heart by the grace of God. But why don't the two of you go ahead and introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about what you've been going through.
Hi. Hello. I'm Ashley, and this is my mom. It's been horrible, just unimaginable hell that we've been living for 2.5 years now. I guess it's going on, right? Has it been that long?
It was.
Yeah. It started how long ago? Wait, I don't even know. Was it 2021? And when I tell you, I have never even been able to speak. Like, she doesn't even ask me. I've not been allowed to speak in court at all. She sits and rattles off this stuff that she thinks that she knows, and it's wrong, based on lies and false things that have been put out, and she just rattles it off, and I have to sit and cringe and listen to it. And I've never once been heard at all. It's been completely one-sided and biased, and I never imagined that something like this could happen to me, who was a stay-at-home mom for 10 years and has done everything. My whole purpose was my children, and I'm an amazing mom. I hate that I even have to defend that, but the things that have been allowed and that we've seen are incredibly corrupt.
I can agree. And go ahead, Susan. I know you have a lot you'd like to add to that as well.
Well, I mean, just to watch this and not be able to, and after all these, I mean, many times in court, and have her come out and not even really be able to explain what just went on. And the video that we just had from June 10th, was that what it was? June, that when you were supposed to be first let in there, that's the first time I really got to see what has been going on, and just how the true points of what we're dealing with, which is the kids. The kids are the most important part of all of this, is not even discussed.
Never mentioned.
I mean, they're not, that is the last thing they might ask the guardian ad litem. Do you have any concerns? No concerns, nothing.
And they have been removed from their mother for this long. No concerns. They're stay-at-home mom for 10 years.
And these babies love us. I mean, we're that family that does everything that, I mean, we've been
Not
involved.
your average grandparents.
No.
They live 3 doors down, and she has been neglected of them too. And my grandmother, my grandmother, whose life, she pays for her singing lessons and takes her to practices, picks her up from school, does tutoring. After my grandfather, after we lost him, she put her whole everything life. That was what was holding her on
Together.
Yes. And to be ripped away from all of us. Okay, they say I'm crazy and that whatever, that's fine. But it is my mom and my nana and my dad and everybody, are all of us unfit?
And I was a teacher. I just retired after 28 years in education. I've been a teacher, and I haven't been allowed to be around my grandchildren, even to the point of I was walked out of his preschool program. They were contacted. The other team contacts, goes in,
text messages people, sends their little, they go in and they'll say, and then these people listen to him. Like they'll say, I have this court paper that says so-and-so is not allowed to be here. Wasn't even true. She was allowed to be there. I had it cleared with my attorney, went in, and then she's walked out of my son's preschool graduation.
I went because I just didn't want anything to bring attention
Drama,
to that.
right,
I didn't want any attention there, but I mean, it was devastating. I mean, absolutely devastating that they've been doing this, but going in and doing this to her, I mean, chasing her around with a video camera every single place that she goes. Like she was asked.
When I'm just trying to be a mom.
She was asked to choreograph a dance routine for Skylar's
cheer team.
Which
I used to be her coach. I mean, I coached her cheerleading squad. I was very over the top involved. I took them, I did everything.
And she's, now
I'm not even able to see them or talk to them on the phone or anything.
That was one of the last rulings also, that when we were in court, or I wasn't in court, but when she was.
Looked me in the eyes and told me, no, you cannot contact your children on the phone, nothing. And for what? For what is what people ask me, why, how is this happening? And I cannot answer it. I cannot answer their questions.
And we haven't been able to ask the questions really to her because none of it ends up being about.
I told the GAL every detail. There has been abusive situations after abusive situations after abusive situations that my kids have been in. And none of it is ever discussed. They act like it's all fine. They sweep it under the rug and continue to put every bit of it on me. I'm the scapegoat.
It's very one-sided. It's completely one-sided. The opposing counsel takes out motion after motion after motion after motion. And
the opposing counsel that I went to college with and have been on, I've been around his kids. They gave me I was back and forth with his wife. They know me as a person, as a mom, and he has been the very one to stand up and try to make me out to be an unfit parent. It is disgusting.
And it's about money. And I said that from the very beginning. I told the ex, I said, this is about money. I said, they see that there is a volatile, there is uneasiness and tension. And so they wanted to create it more. And that's what they did. And it's been more of them
stirring it up between,
with court and lawyer, and
we live in a small town too. There's all these connections, they're
best friend, girlfriend is best friend with the judge.
Yes.
Best friend with the other judge, the benchmate of this judge. Yeah. And so it's all very, very
overlap.
And to be honest with you, because I do this across the entire nation for close to 16 years now, there's probably not a court I haven't court watched in, very few. It doesn't matter if they're small or large, because there's a lot of it is the finances that they're getting through real estate. So we have millionaires that are losing their shirts in family court, down to poor people and everything in between. It's race, religion, none of that matters. People think it's because of this, that, the other. It's not. It's wherever every child has a price tag. Every person has a price tag according to family court, and they will always do the opposite of normal. Matter of fact, there's a chapter in my book called "The Opposite of Normal," because anything that a normal thinking person would do, if you're making a decision in the best interest of any children, okay, which that's a broad term, would not be what these judges are doing, and you have to ask yourself why. And of course,
they have used my support system against me majorly. Also, they would not treat someone who didn't have means, which it's infuriating to me that the GAL actually told me, oh, it seems like your parents have the means. So
Yeah.
Like, is this my parents' responsibility? No, I was a stay-at-home mom. I had a credit card. I did what I want. Like, and now I'm expected to pay these mass amounts, $100 a week to see them for an hour. Now, this last time, it was however much, my $4,000 or something like that I owe, that she says that I need to have paid within 60 days, or they're going to turn it over to the ex so he can sue me. Like,
yeah. But the violations are through the work. I'm going to show something real quick here. This is from our hard work of constantly filing non-compliance complaints to the Department of Justice. What you're about to see is the U.S. Attorney and the Department of Justice. These are federally mandated federal codifications under the ADA. In this case, it would be considered under Title II of the ADA, in which we inserted and invoked your ADA rights. However, there's different titles under the ADA. This is enforcing that judges are to comply with the federal codifications under the Americans with Disability Act. And this right here, if you see it on the screen, this actually shows where the judges are mandated and required to make sure that you get your accommodations. Now, a lot of judges do not comprehend what the word reasonable accommodation means, or PHI, private health information. That means exactly that, private health information. Just because you're in a court and they've gotten away with it for decades in criminal court, live TV court, family court, whatever court it may be, that does not mean that they can ask you your private health information, okay? And unless you are criminally insane and you can hurt somebody, which in that case, obviously, I wouldn't support that with a child, they cannot adjudicate your disabilities against you, especially when the court is causing them, or when the court or the situation you're in, like if you're a DV victim or what have you, or your child drift away from you, placed into the hands of an abuser, or placed into a residential treatment center being harmed, and so on and so forth, and you're being ignored. Well, now your pre-existing condition is being exacerbated by their violations and by the harm that they're causing you. What I'm going to show right now, and I know that Jay is going to be all over this, is I'm going to show, Sarah Moore right now is doing a walk for mercy. She's walking, I don't want to mess up the amount of children right now. It's 634 children. She's walking for all the way to Washington, D.C. I've been to Washington, D.C. in front of every single Congress member there is. Most of them really don't care. They pretend they do, but they don't. But I'm supporting her all the way. She's walking, showing every child that's been unalived by a family court order that gave, and actually 600, and I believe 32 of them were killed by their dads and one by a mother. Okay, a lot of times what ends up happening is that people will blame a biological mother or father for unaliving their children or abusing them. And what we found out over the years is that that's not true. What it actually is a foster mom or dad, because they're non-family and they're taking these children in for the money. They're the ones that are abusing children, and bios get the blame. And there's been this fake story told out, biological parents. And I'm not saying that there's not biological parents that do that. Obviously, her walk is proving that. But I'm saying that the stories have not been told right, and therefore the statistics are incorrect. And I've been able to show that over the years, using their own statistics against them and showing where the child trafficking is coming indeed through the family court and what I call child predator services. I'm going to show you story after story tonight. And then after the intermission, when you can learn how you can get our help, after the intermission, we're going to show you behind the scenes with this specific judge, dishonorable judge, Nora Shepherd. Okay, so here we go with some videos.
Fire happened just before 9 p.m. Sunday.
This is Autumn Pereira with her father, Martin. And in this picture, despite pleas from her mother to the courts, was only the second time Martin was allowed to have custody of his child over the weekend. Autumn's mother, Sharon, pleaded with the courts to keep her daughter away from her ex, but the courts ignored her. After picking up his child, Martin called his ex and said, "Do I have your fucking attention now?" Just a mere hours after this photo was taken, Martin put his daughter in the back seat of a car, chained the doors shut, and set it on fire. Autumn was just 3 years old.
Sources say he did not live with his daughter and was in a custody battle with her mother. He also allegedly was arrested in 2013 for harassment.
This is the New York court system. And it's got to stop.
Now, that's Robbie Harvey. Robbie has millions and millions of views on TikTok. And don't get me wrong, obviously there's some social media platforms that have, everything is going to have bad and good in it. Okay, but there's a lot of amazing people on TikTok and other social media platforms that are giving the raw truth, and they're giving educated, articulate, respectfully giving the truth, and people don't want to hear that, but it is what it is. It is a First Amendment right. What part of do not infringe do you not understand? Freedom of the press is a very important First Amendment right, freedom of speech. And when they put a gag order in place to silence you, they are violating that. And when you know how to fight that, I've never seen a case that doesn't win when a judge places a gag order on you. Now, Robbie has been attacked by, and I want you guys to know, I always say this in my live broadcast, I have mostly moms, but I have lots of dads too that I fight vehemently for, that are great, amazing fathers. But there's been a lot of lies told over the years that it's a fatherless home, and generally what goes into family court, okay? Because I have amazing fathers, brother, uncles, cousins, males in my family that I adore, Jay, who I adore, that are wonderful men and would never do what these abusers do to women. Never. It's not even in their makeup to even think like this. So the family court has perpetrated this lie. It is the only place that has something called fatherhood.gov, meaning government. There's no motherhood.gov. Okay, and it's a huge front to a big child trafficking lie. And the only fathers that get full custody and that they literally give them suits after they leave prison. I mean, I'm not even joking what they do for them. They will fight vehemently while the mother's a liar and crazy. And I'm going to show you otherwise, and I always show you otherwise. And those dads get full custody or unfettered access. And that is why I'm not for 50-50 custody. I'm for 100% whole body human beings, and that you should be treated. Two good parents aren't going to do what these people do in family court. Let's put it that way. They're just not going to do it. It's not in their makeup. And normal dads don't take custody 100% from mothers that are good mothers. It's not in their makeup. And I've seen that over and over again. But Robbie's been attacked since he's been standing up vehemently because of a U.S. attorney, Catherine Kazanoff. And Judge, you really should understand this if you don't know it. She unalived herself. She was also the judge. She was also the U.S. attorney to a previous governor here in New York State. And because she reported abuse, which is multi-viral all over, you can type in her name and you'll see the abuse that she went through and her children by the father, who was a attorney. Mr. Kavanaugh was an attorney who now has been taken off and removed from Samsung and a whole bunch of big, huge accounts. And she just couldn't see no way out. And she felt that by this so-called sacrifice, but I tell everyone, do not do this, please, do not do this. We pride ourselves in people not committing in our organization and staying on the phone with people so that they don't do that, and that they know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And we do win cases, and we do protect your children. It takes time sometimes, but do not do that, please. But she felt to do the sacrifice to raise awareness, and it did take off and bring on a life of its own. Because he's supporting that, he's now being attacked by the father rights organization that are not for good dads, they're for abusers. That's who they help. And likewise, now they're trying to say he's all these things, and I do not agree with that. And I already know the game because I've dealt with that troll game in the past. Okay, so when you look me up, you're going to see all kinds of amazing things, but you're going to see a couple of things that were supposed to be cleaned off the internet. Those people did end up in jail. Those people were arrested for attacking me verbally, and various things did take place. Lawsuits came against them. They lost every time for attacking my good name and my good reputation. However, I already know the game and I can spot them a million miles away. But that's Robbie Harvey, and I do think he's amazing, and I disagree with anybody that attacks him. Everybody that's just joining us, we're going to be showing a series of videos. After the intermission, we're going to be showing you the behind the scenes with this specific judge, and we're going to be listening to Jay as he breaks up every violation that she made. But here we go with another video.
I have felt great grief all week, and of course I have.
This man is speaking at his son's funeral, and I'm going to show you evidence why he should be investigated for murder.
Because there is great love for Grant Rhodes, Huffine Solomon.
Because police and a district attorney refuses to do it themselves. At the end, I need your help. Because what I'm about to show you will convince you that an investigation needs to be launched immediately.
Ever since I was born, my dad has done awful things to me. First, he never let my mom bathe me. It was always him. So by not letting mom come in at all, it meant that he could do anything to me.
This is Gracie Solomon, and she says her father, Aaron, took advantage of her in a North Carolina hotel room while on a baseball trip. The courts recognize that this has happened, and they have refused to do anything about it. Gracie's mother, Angie, pleaded over and over for the courts to hold her ex-husband accountable. She pleaded so much that the courts literally told her to shut up or they would throw her in jail. So because of that, Gracie's older brother, Grant, decided that once he turned 18, he would take on the case himself. And then 1 month after turning 18, Grant is no longer with us. And the last person to see him alive was his father, a man that Grant testified over and over again that he was terrified of. So let's take a look at the crime scene, which police won't do. Which, by the way, here's their police report. A report filled with nothing. And here's the depth of their investigation. This drawing. Aaron alleges that the truck started rolling across the parking lot while his son was behind it. Aaron didn't see exactly what happened until after the truck started rolling. And then it came to a stop in this ditch. According to Aaron, Grant is trapped. And this is how he dies.
I don't know. I don't think so. He's not alert, right? No, he's out. And he's trapped. I got 3 guys here, and he's trapped under the truck.
Aaron says 3 men are at the scene trying to help. But police never interview those men. How do we know this? Because again, the police report shows absolutely nothing.
Oh my God, this is not good.
Is he awake?
Oh, please hurry. I don't know. I don't think so. He's not alert, right? No, he's out. And he's trapped.
Aaron also says his son is trapped and unconscious.
There's no mouth movement. I'm looking. There's no mouth movement. There's no crying. There's no yelling. There's no moaning. There's no screaming. He's out. I mean, I know he's out.
I've spoken to sources who have direct knowledge of the accident scene. According to first responders who were there, who wish to remain anonymous, they say Grant was alive. Grant was conscious. Grant was trying to speak. And Grant was not trapped under the truck. And now for the most damning evidence of it all. I'm going to avoid saying what this is so I don't violate the community guidelines. But this is where Grant hit his head, and this is where his glasses are. Neither of those spots are underneath the truck. And keep this in mind, medical reports show a fatal blow to the back of the head. And take a look at this. The truck was in park, and the keys were in the ignition. And if that's not enough for you, according to an independent investigation of the truck itself requested by the family, the parking pawl was engaged, meaning it was impossible for the truck to move. And according to Toyota, there were no recalls on the truck itself. Now listen to this.
But you never made it down there, or
not all the way down.
And you didn't open the truck doors or anything?
No.
Okay.
No. Nobody opened. Nobody touched him or the truck because there were a couple dudes.
And you just saw it here and was like, "I got to call."
Oh, I got to call because there's no way we can help him. Somebody at a higher level.
And you could see from here that he was.
According to Aaron Solomon himself, he never once went down to check on his son. He stood at the top of this hill and watched his son die. Grant wasn't trapped like Aaron says, and we know this because Aaron not once went down there. Grant wasn't trapped like Aaron says because the witnesses who were there don't exist.
I don't want to call him my dad anymore. He has never listened to me. He has hurt me sexually, physically, and mentally. He has caused so much pain for my family. He has tried to manipulate me and has manipulated others, and it has worked.
Aaron Solomon violated his daughter, and Grant was going to pursue justice. And there is more to this case, but just that evidence alone should be enough to trigger an investigation. Yet, Not one word from the district attorney. So since the DA won't answer the family or myself, then maybe you can give him a call and ask him, why is there not an investigation into the death of Grant Solomon? And for those of you who live internationally, you can send an email. That's legal in this case. Just ask him, what is he going to do about Aaron Solomon?
Okay, so dishonorable Judge Nora Shepard, hopefully you're going to get a lesson today because we have more. And don't forget, everyone, we actually, after the intermission, we have dishonorable Judge Nora Shepard behind the scenes. And you're not going to want to miss that.
This is quite possibly one of the most heartbreaking videos that I have ever created. And it does not have a happy ending. And with that, I give an extreme trigger warning.
Hate you, and I'll be filing for divorce as soon as I possibly can.
And this video is Alan Kassenhoff. It may be pronounced Kassenhoff, but I could not confirm that. In bed is his wife, Catherine. She had just had surgery from breast cancer a couple of days prior. Take a listen.
She's spoiled, and I'm not taking her. She will be punished by not going today.
You're her
She's
parent,
I'm not
and you
taking
need to
her.
take her to school.
No, I'm not.
I cannot do it. I'm
Then
in
she
bed.
won't go.
I'm lying in bed. I can't
Then
do it.
get
I
her
can't
out of
drive.
bed.
You take her to school, please.
Get her out of bed, and I'll take her.
Stop talking in that
Get her out of bed.
horrible way to her.
Get her out of bed.
No.
She's spoiled.
Recently, Catherine was diagnosed with more cancer. This time, it was terminal.
Alan, I have to go to my doctor now.
I'm leaving.
I need to.
I don't care. That's what you don't understand.
You need to calm down.
I'm leaving.
Say you're sorry.
No! No!
I have violin practice to do with Charlotte.
I don't care, you fat loser.
What'd you call me?
A fat loser.
One more time.
A fat, old loser who I hate.
Despite this evidence, Alan had Catherine arrested in 2022. Catherine fought the false allegations, and the courts believed her. And they dropped everything that she was charged with. But this is the heartbreaking part. In a post made a few days ago by Catherine, this is what she says. It is with profound heartbreak that I hope none of you experience. Today I am writing that this is my last post ever. Today is the end.
Talking to people? Do you
Catherine,
hear who you
I
are?
hate you. I hate you. I'm trying to shower. You're barging in. I want privacy. Did someone tell you? Well, you know better. Get up there. I'll deal with it because no one else does. Hate you, and I'll be filing for divorce as soon as I possibly can. I'm not coming home this weekend. I'm going to be away. I will come back Sunday to get my stuff for next week.
They won't go with you like this.
Then they're not going to school.
You need to calm down.
Shut up!
You can't talk like this to them.
Shut up!
I can't leave them here with you. You're in.
So as you can see, one right after the other, he had full custody. She did not. Okay, because the judges, what's missing? What's missing with these judges that they keep doing this? What's missing? It's intentional. This is intentional. I'm convinced of it.
I hate my dad. I'm absolutely terrified of him from everything he has done to me, my brother, and my mom.
The courts acknowledge that.
Why I barricaded myself in my
Sorry about that.
3 months straight with no human contact because the court was trying to force me with my abuser. November 2022, I was forced to go to a Thanksgiving visit with my biological father. I refused to talk to him, and I barricaded myself in his bathroom for almost a whole 12 hours. We left for 2 hours because they said that they were going to call the police to try to get us removed. But after that, they said that there was nothing was going to happen for a while. Turns out the police showed up at my house about a month later trying to force me over there. I screamed to the police and told them not to, and they didn't take me. I'll play a little bit of the recording right here.
Okay, why are you scared?
Because who you guys are supposed to take me to is a rapist, and he is super abusive. He hurt me and my sister, and I am so afraid to go. I'm trying to keep myself safe, and this is not like, this is like me almost giving up if I open this door.
I'm sorry that you guys don't want to go, but you do have to go. The judge did sign that order. Your mom is out here, got your bag packed. So I need you guys to open the door and come with me.
I understand, but I'm not opening this door. I'm that afraid.
Please don't do anything to us. We're just very scared.
Please, I'm not opening this door, but please, I hope you know what you're doing.
The order does let us use reasonable force when you guys are in the house.
I understand.
I'm sorry about that. That was the video and it went ahead of me. I don't know why that happened. It's not time for that yet.
I'm genuinely scared for my life. I'll post the full recording of them trying to take me later. And I was barricaded for 2 months, I think, 2.5 months, without any human contact. And then they dropped the writ of assistance, which is a paper that technically says that the police can come and take you using any force means, aka reasonable force, to take you. And
so behind us here, you can see this is going to be the video that we're going to show. We're not showing it now. I was trying to get it working on another screen. I do apologize. This is going to be the behind the scenes video. If you guys need a break, that's fine. You can do so. Can you both hear me? Everybody can hear me? Okay. If you need a break, that's fine. I'm going to show a few more. We're going to go to an intermission, and then everyone that's watching, make sure you spread this like crazy, because we are going to be exposing the judge, and you're going to see what they think of us and what they think of advocates like myself, specifically me.
Family courts basically work off of fabricated evidence. That's number one. Number two, there's really no appeal from family courts. So family courts, unlike normal, like civil courts or criminal courts, there's almost no appellate options out of a family court. So the judges operate with no oversight and just do whatever they want. And third, and this is the big one, there are massive federal programs that were instituted in the late 1970s that pay states trillions of dollars to tear families apart. So it's so innocuous when I tell you, be like, this is a great program. But like in Texas, we get 66 cents on the dollar put into the Texas Treasury for every dollar of child support that's paid. Right? So the state is now highly incentivized to issue the maximum amount of child support. That's why almost all divorces got 50-50 prior to the 1980s. And there was the skyrocketing of divorces where one parent loses custody. And that was to maximize Title IV-D reimbursements to the states. In Texas, it's $500 million to the Texas budget.
If the state is profiting off of child support?
Correct. And in most states, the Judicial Retirement Fund is funded from this money. So the more child support that's issued from the family courts, the larger the judicial retirement. It's a massive program. It's the size of the largest defense programs. So the incentives are absolutely huge.
To get people to pay child support?
Correct.
And even married people, to get them to break up and then have to pay each other child support?
Absolutely, yeah. So because you would think the best child support would just be 50-50 custody and let people raise their kids. The best child support is to raise your own kid. That's the best child support. But they don't do that. Most states actually have laws prohibiting the courts from doing that. Texas has a family code in which it's assumed to be in the child's best interest that one parent get 24% of the time. And the reason 24% was chosen precisely is it maximizes Title IV-D reimbursement to the state at 24%. Okay.
How's the maximization function? How does it come out at 24%?
So it has to do with how the state calculates child support. So Texas has one of the worst child support systems in the state. It doesn't take into account the income of both parents, and it doesn't take into account the amount of time you spend with the child. So there are fathers out there with 49% of the time that are paying maximal child support.
So the bottom line is that, person after person is showing this. And so I'm sure we're all crazy for exposing these stories, and it can't be us. It must be The judges must be correct. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go to an intermission right now. I have more to show you. And obviously, and after the intermission, we have a few more videos we're going to show you. And then we're going to show you this video behind the scenes with, I'm sorry, I just knocked myself off here. Behind the scenes with dishonorable Judge Nora Shepard. Be sure to stay tuned. Do not get, be sure that you're here so you don't miss this final part. And thank you. And if you need help, here's how you can get it.
We'll be right back after a message from Punished for Protecting Incorporated. Each new generation of protective mothers is shocked when they first go to family court and find it doesn't favor single mothers and is willing to jeopardize children. Francesca's harrowing experience with the broken family court system, from which she finally received justice after 8 months of struggle, is proof that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Francesca has one of these unspeakably cruel cases and has responded by shining a large spotlight on widespread failures so other mothers won't be shocked. Punished for Protecting the Injustice System of Family Court by Francesca Amato Banfield, advocate, mother, whistleblower, founder, and TV talk show host of Punished for Protecting. If you are struggling with injustices wrought by our courts, this book will help guide you through the process. Available on Amazon.com. Search Punished for Protecting and get your copy today. Help abolish family court by purchasing Punished for Protecting merchandise. Here are our top sellers. See the link in the YouTube video description to find out how to get your Punished for Protecting t-shirt. Get your high-quality Punished for Protecting t-shirt while supplies last and let everyone know that you stand for justice. Are you being re-victimized by the family court system? Do you need help with your case? Go online and book a talk with Francesca. Go to punished4being-a-parent.com/book-a-talk. Fill in your name, email address, and message to Francesca. Someone will get back to you within 24 hours. Francesca and her staff of volunteers continue to work tirelessly every single day for parents and children who are in need of their help. There have been multiple success stories, including Francesca's, which gives hope to others in similar situations. Punished for Protecting Incorporated has incurred out-of-pocket expenses with zero funding to help families get their children back or to save their children from being taken. We also have provided funds to help with retainers, food, lodging, and travel. We really need your help so we can continue to provide our many services. Any amount is greatly appreciated. If you'd like to donate or sponsor a family in need of help, go to Cash App, Free the Children. And now back to our broadcast.
Okay, guys, so here we are for the moment you've all been waiting for. I do have a couple more clips that I will show after this specific clip that you see here on the screen. I do believe that, Ashley, this is your attorney right here, correct? Because
Yes.
he was struggling to do a good job, I have to say.
They never let him speak. He never gets a word in, ever.
It's one-sided.
You know, I do visual and body language diagnostics on people so that I can see, you know, because I'm really crazy and I foam from the mouth and I'm really like out of touch with reality. But one of my strong points is that I can do visual and body language. I'm being facetious, by the way, but I can do visual and body language diagnostics on people because I can tell if somebody's in trauma. And he's in trauma. I'm watching him and he's literally struggling. And I felt so bad for him. But let's go ahead and
anybody that's tried to help has been completely bullied. I mean, it's
disgusting. It's
disgusting. It is.
Go ahead, and if you guys can hit your mutes so that the audience doesn't miss this. We may pause here and there, and I definitely want to hear Jay weigh in on all the violations. And by the way, I'm about to get roasted, guys, so let's enjoy it. If any of you love me out there, if any of you hate me out there, you're going to love this. But if any of you love me out there, you're going to feel sorry. But don't. I took it on the chin. Hang on.
Just done a quick search on the Kentucky Court of Justice website, which one indicates that anyone who requires an auxiliary aid or service for effective communication would need to let the court system know that the court system's ADA coordinator would assist the circuit court to ensure that those individuals are provided an equal opportunity for whatever the programs are. So given that, Judge, I don't know if to ensure that all of her needs are met, whether or not the advocate needs to come on and identify what those are.
I don't know who she is.
Are you indicating that's going to be her advocate, Mr. Thomas?
She is got her as a representative. I didn't choose her. I did not choose her.
I'm just cutting through what she submitted. I mean, I saw where she called herself a whole bunch of things, and she had a bunch of letters after her name, so she can provide some credentials, but she also had punished.
Sorry for the skipping.
Parenting.com, and
and just,
she can believe what she wants, but if she needs an ADA accommodation, we got to go through Bill Bennett in Frankfurt, and there's a process for that if she needs an accommodation.
Yeah, and Your Honor, and the only reason that I'm bringing this up is I also this advocate has made some communications that have come to me with respect to.
Sorry about the choppiness.
Code
References, and so
of federal regulations.
And so I just want to make sure, Judge, that we're in full compliance, since there's apparently a case out there that does not provide any type of immunity for state or federal agencies from strict compliance with the ADA.
Your Honor, if I can make a record briefly, I would I previously tendered to counsel, I believe they are out there. I tendered to the court this quote unquote advocate.
I wouldn't put it past for messing with the video, but bear with it.
Mr. Thomas is indicating that's going to be she's somebody who's going to be involved in this case. I think the court should be fully informed as to what this individual apparently shares about family court, blood on her hands, child predator services. It's kind of getting disturbing.
I'm just going to pause it for a second so we can break up the first pieces, and hopefully we can get this video a little more clearer for people. I'm sorry, I see what you're saying there, Jody, and I agree with you. But let's break up a couple of things that were said so far. She glanced at it, punished for parenting, I think she said, which is not the name of my organization. It's punished for being a parent.com. He mentions that I said the blood's on their hand. I think that the previous videos that we just watched clearly show that the blood is on somebody's hands. You know, it definitely is. I mean, we're talking about unalived children and parents. The blood's on somebody's hands who actually took an oath to not let things like this happen. You know, just the whole thing. And then she wanted to let us know that she understood that that meant federal codifications. Jay, do you want to insert anything to that? And I'm going to try to get this video to work a little clearer.
Sure. I want to say that, you know, I've been doing this for 6 years, and I will say right off the bat that Francesca has a lot more letters behind her name than I do. I don't think I have any letters behind my name. I have a couple of certifications, but I'm just a guy with an axe to grind, and I enjoy grinding the axe. So this court has chosen to target her, and when they did that, what's going on here is the judge is actually showing bias. You know, I'm not an attorney, and I'm an average person, and I can tell you right off the bat, this judge is showing bias to your ADA advocate. And so even the appearance of bias needs to be addressed with this judge. And I'm going to say this too. I've worked with a lot of attorneys, and I've told the attorneys, you're going to have to make me the bad guy. And if this attorney heard that from Francesca, and I don't know what conversations they had, but he's doing a great job being the good guy. And the judge is making Francesca the bad guy. And that's really kind of the way it has to work. But the lawyer is actually going to great lengths to try to get your voice heard, Francesca, and your rights observed, Ashley. So this is promising. And the way to do it is to say, you know, I just want to make sure we're in compliance. And I mean, when I heard him say that, I'm like, wow, I don't know if he was coached or not, but that's kind of how it has to work. And this judge is just not at all interested in following the ADA. And the way she comes out, and I don't even know if you want me to talk about this yet, but the way she comes out against Francesca is just, I mean, it just removes all doubt. They're, you know, for somebody to say Your Honor to this person is to illegitimately assign character to them that does not exist.
I agree. The thing is that, Jay, we don't even need credentials behind our names to be an ADA advocate, to aid and assist somebody. We just happen to have a forensic background that we understand these laws and how they're asserted and invoked into any situation. But she's violating her judicial canons. You're going to see more here. It's very unethical. It's actually an embarrassment to me because, like I said earlier in the beginning of this video, I would love to see a fair and just, reasonable judicial system that actually worked, and all these horror stories didn't happen every day. I would much prefer live my life, you know, not having to protect children to this level every day of my life so that they can actually function, have a good future, and not be abused this way, not just through an abuser, but through a judicial system that acts this way. It's an embarrassment to me. It's an embarrassment to this country, I believe, that this is happening. It's causing all kinds of problems. So, you know, and it doesn't, you could be, I always joke around, it's not really funny, but you can be somebody's old, deaf, blind grandma that acts as a support animal in a courtroom, and you are welcome to come into a courtroom. Okay. And then the law that I showed earlier is that you cannot violate against the accommodations that are virtual, because not everybody can afford people like us to fly them all over the country so we can be there in person. And also to make sure that you go through less trauma, that we're both virtual so I can actually see you and know when you need a break. I'm not asking them to stop the proceedings and to interject my opinions. I'm simply doing what the law states that are federal protections. So, but anyway, I just felt this was very important. I do believe we have a better sound now. So again, please bear with us, because I really think you guys want to watch this judge. Go ahead, Jay.
I want to say one thing. It's time to end judicial immunity, and there's a stronger way that I'd like to say this. I'm couching my words right now, but it's time to treat judges like they treat us.
I couldn't agree more with that one. I couldn't agree more. That's what Title 18, Sections 241 and 2 are for. Okay.
So are we going to be what? Are you starting the video?
Yeah, it's gonna play in a second here from
Okay.
where we left.
Yeah, I'll say this while we're waiting. The court is an abuser, and I'm not a mandatory reporter, but I'm a reporter. So there you go. I'm reporting that the court is your abuser. And there's so many people that feel this way. When I see a judge, I mean, I'm happy for one to prove me wrong, but the first choice that I pick is there's an abuser.
While we're waiting for this, I'm going to go ahead and play these last 3 short clips.
This is what Catherine Kasanoff wanted. In my heart of hearts, everybody, you could see her there. I really believe this. She wanted not just justice for her own situation, and as we know, she tragically took her life in May at an assisted suicide facility in Switzerland, but she wanted justice for every protective mom and maybe some dads too who have lost custody of their children in a broken family court system, right? So it is not just a New York problem. It's not just a Catherine problem. It is a national problem. It's actually a global problem. But for this article, I spoke to many legal experts who say that they are seeing this across the country, and actually it violates our U.S. Constitution. We have the right to due process. We have a right to be heard, to have our side of the story told in a court of law. And many of these moms who have lost custody do not have that. Even the ACLU is involved in New York State in fighting for finding out why this hasn't been instituted yet. I spoke to Harold Burke, who was one of Catherine's attorneys, who actually spoke to her for 2 hours the day before she died. He thought he had convinced her to hang on. He had fought for another woman years before named Sylvia Lee. I encourage you to read about it in this story. And Sylvia had lost custody of her children. They took this case on appeal all the way up to the New York State Court of Appeals, and they won. And the court found that Sylvia did not have a fair hearing. She had her rights to due process violated. And Harold thought, okay, once they won that, all women would be protected. And New York State has actually largely ignored this, right? So it has been found to be true. And also, there are national experts who work on behalf of protective parents and children who say they are getting complaints every week, constantly, from across the country about due process rights being violated. This is a huge, huge thing. And I really believe that this is why Catherine left us everything she did and all the information. She was a smart, a bright legal mind who saw far beyond her own case, and she empathized with everyone else. So let's do what she wanted. Let's keep up the heat. Contact your legislator, join the National Safe Parents Organization, mobilize on the local level for family court reform.
To DCS in Arizona, and DCS said they can't do anything because I didn't state penetration. I do have a best interest attorney, and after the flight situation, she changed her mind with our first judge, when that judge was there, she said I shouldn't have contact with my biological mother and I need to stay with my biological father who's safe. Then after our judges changed and Andrew Russell was forcing me to go to these camps and reunify with my biological mother, Gina Gutierrez, my best interest attorney, suddenly changed her mind to my biological mother is safe and I need to go back with her. I was on a call with her and she told me I needed to go, I need to have a relationship, that my biological mother had changed and that her home was safe. When I asked her, can you guarantee that her and her husband are safe, Gina Gutierrez answered with no. When I told her, I don't want you representing me anymore, I don't want you working for me, I want you off the case because you are not representing me the way I need to be represented, she told me, I don't work for you, I work for the courts. So not only is my best interest attorney and the judge single-handedly helping put me in danger and putting me in a situation where I will be silenced forever and continue to be abused mentally, emotionally, physically, and sexually, they are siding with my abuser and just allowing her to continue her abuse through the courts. I ended up filing for a protection order because I felt there was no other way to protect myself, and the judge had barred my father from doing so, and DCS wasn't doing anything, cops weren't doing anything, nothing was happening, and I was going to be forced back into a dangerous home to live with my abuser and her husband, who I am not even allowed to be around. So I filed for my protection order here in Alaska, and as soon as we got in there, the judge said our binder of evidence was too much and she's not even going to have a trial and no one's going to be testifying. So I wasn't allowed to testify or say my piece. My father wasn't allowed to testify. My older stepbrother, who had his rights removed, wasn't allowed to testify, nor was his mother. My biological mother took the entire time talking. As soon as she was allowed to talk, she said, I'm not even coming to get Madison, so what's the point of this protection hearing?
This is what Catherine Kasanoff wanted. In my heart of hearts,
I think we already heard this one.
Okay, we're about to bring on the one with the judge. Give it 1 second. We're going to have this loaded. It's loaded, but we're going to have the sound.
Let me say something real quick. When a judge shuts you down from talking, that creates a disability. It's a physical and mental impairment that substantially limits your ability, your major life activities of communicating, interacting with others, and more. So you can invoke the ADA at that time.
And why don't you talk a little bit too about, Jay, about how they, how attorneys are supposed to protect those rights and how they're culpable.
So your attorney is supposed to give you ADA rights, and then I would actually use that sparingly, because the more frustrated an attorney is, the less they're going to do to protect you. But the other attorney, the opposing attorney, is also supposed to give ADA rights under Title III, because they are a public accommodation and they operate as a law office. When they offer you their goods and services, which are usually in the form of papers and documents, and I'm not giving legal advice, I'm telling you right now, this is my opinion. But when they give you those goods and services, they're supposed to give you ADA accommodations, access, and non-discrimination. And if they're the ones calling you crazy, then invoking the ADA is a really good way to just stop that shit right in the road. Sorry.
No, you're 100% correct. This is loading. I'm sorry for the delay. It's going to be well worth it. We only have a few minutes of it. Well, not a few minutes, but we have it. You want to hear what this judge says. And just give it a second. It is loading, and I do apologize for the technical issues that have occurred with it. I just want to make sure that it's clear and legible for you, you guys. This is important. I want you to hear this. If you look at the screen here while this is loading, Jody is a client of mine. I've helped her for a number of years, and her son is in Connors Residential Treatment Center. He's been abused profusely by Judge Sharon Lavallo of Erie County, New York. Erie County has all kinds of corruption, from the police to you name it. It goes up and down the food chain. Very, very bad. Children are being abused horrifically. They're making all kinds of money off of these children. And in that specific area, a lot of poor families. But she's saying here that, yes, Landon was denied his Lincoln hearing in Judge Lavallo's court in Erie County, New York, family court in Buffalo. She lied and said that she'd give him a Lincoln hearing, and then lied and refused it to him. The reason she refused it is because he wants to come home, and she didn't want the appellate court to hear that he wants to come home. And I've seen some real sick stuff with Judge Lavallo. But anyway, let me know if you guys can hear. Here's where she decides to kind of really go off on me. And you get to see, when judges don't think we can hear them, what she has to say. Let me know when you guys can hear it, if you guys can put your fingers up. Sorry.
An email, and part of that is my file review. It's on for today, and the clerks do what I want them to do, and when things come in on a case that's on promotion hour, they're transmitting that to me. So that was an ex parte communication. I glanced.
So it's not an ex parte communication when it's ADA rights. She's wrong.
Nonsense to me. But again, I don't know. I just glanced at it. And the reason it looked like nonsense is some of the spelling, and it just went on and on and on and on.
It literally had forensic
of a whole bunch of stuff, and it looked like nonsense to me, but the words ADA jumped out, and we have those things. You've got to go through Frankfurt, or I didn't know what accommodation that she's requiring. Am I going to let a nut job?
It's literally detailed with the accommodations.
Zoom, no, okay. And I'll call it like I see it. If this is a nut job, this is not going to be helpful to mom. It may cause some delay while she, we go through the magic of the words ADA.
She's done nothing.
But, as far as
You're not muted.
Bill Bennett, when
I want to talk.
Some of my staff have need for accommodation.
Understand.
I've called Frankfurt, and it seems to be Bill Bennett, who is an ADA compliance person there. So that's where I would direct Miss Olds. Is there something going on that I need to do something differently? I mean, right now, she's ordered supervised third-party facility, right?
Correct.
So I'm not, is that just not happening? Or so what's why are we, so is it him letting grandparents and the grandparents are allowing contact, then why isn't he stopping the grandparents until they comply? And I know that's not necessarily the best thing for the children, but if they come into compliance and follow my orders, perhaps a cutoff there would cause that. So what's going on? What's,
Your Honor, the grandparents issue, he has cut that off. I think there's been, Ms. Carter's been out on vacation. So I think since March, she's had maybe 3 visits.
okay.
It is what it is. My biggest concerns are the inappropriate messages to Skylar. Again, if we have to continue it, we can continue it, Your Honor. There's the financial component. And I don't think this old has been paid either.
Okay.
If the court's going to continue to understand the issue with ADA compliance, again, my issue is the invocation of it as we're set to start a hearing. But one issue I did want to address for today is I believe Ricky and the children will be out of the town June 28th through July 2nd. So I want to, if we can agree to move that visit to the 27th. I would prefer to do that now in court as opposed to have some issue and nasty post on Facebook about it. So,
And Judge, I've just been allowing Miss Aldridge is the one who's coordinating that at Kids Discovery. Christy Aldridge at Kids Discovery Center.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So they've been communicating and setting that up. I've said I'm not in the business of scheduling anymore. Judge, I would comment, and I don't mean to interrupt, but when you had commented about that it was forwarded to you by Ms. Puckett, I believe when Ms. Puckett notified me, I think that Ms. Carter was actually on the phone with this lady to call, and that was the first I had known that she had even engaged this individual. So that's how that transpired. It was she reached out to somebody, and this lady ends up calling.
No, I mean, no, when I first brought it up, you told me you didn't know anything about this person, and that's okay.
So these are all ex parte communication findings, what they're talking about here.
But you're her counselor. You're her legal representative in court. You're the one I let into court. I don't let a nut job appear via Zoom, who's unknown to you or anybody else. Okay, if she needs some kind of accommodation, I'm going to give you time to figure that out. I mean, part of the reason I've needed some kind of mental health or other assessment, I have worried about mental health issues. From my perspective, and we can deal with that. I got to know what they are first.
No, you don't.
But if this is just obstinance,
I'm worried about her mental health too, the judges.
100%.
Then, you know, it'll have to be dealt with contempt. Now, I don't know that I have ever allowed her to have phone or other contact with the children. It's been supervised at a third-party facility. That's what I know the out.
Okay, so I think what we're going to do is, because it's so spacey, we got the point. We got the point here. So I'm going to just have us talk about this now. There's just so much to this. So I just want to tell you guys that these are my credentials. You don't need credentials for this, but these are my credentials for this. Where is it here? I'm just going to go over them so that the judge knows. But you don't need them, okay? You don't need them. We just have, Jay and I happen to be the only two in the country that have an expert background in what we do under the ADA. If I can find this, where is it? I had it on the screen before. Here we go. So just so you guys know, DV means domestic violence. CA means child abuse. CMHC means certified mental health coach. HR is accredited human rights expert, and ADA expert national advocate means I do this in every state, every court. Okay, but my new title, and thank you so much, Dishonorable Judge Nora Shepard, and thank you for correcting me and everybody out there. My new title is a nut job and a wackadoo. I hope I spelled that right, because sometimes I'm so inundated with clients who are in desperate need of protecting their children from judges like you and from horrible situations that are destroying our country, literally destroying the fiber of our country, turning children into your financial gain to make them into juvenile delinquents, which we don't want to see, and destroying their futures. I have so much to do that sometimes I may miss a spelling because I'm always in a hurry, and sometimes I have to do talk to text because I have a crying mother or father on the phone, or worse, a child begging to go home, and I have to live that. See, when I talk to people, I don't care about my credentials. I care about a heart to heart, and what I care about is I try to appeal, and I did this to all of Congress, appeal to your human side, if you have one, because what you're doing is destroying lives with your black robe. You're destroying the lives of children, and it actually affects the mental health and the physical health of America's children, who will be the next in line, in businesses and professional jobs, and potentially, doctors, lawyers, or whatever they become in the future, if they get that far, thanks to judges like you. So I will wear this title, nut job and wackadoo. I will be happy to wear that title, to be honest with you, because if it means that a person that actually exposes the likes of you and actually wants to protect America's future and America's children, I will rather be called a nut job and a wackadoo than to be called a judge, if that makes any sense to anyone. So Dishonorable Nora Shepard, you literally get the A+ for this. What really got me, Jay, was when they said, and I know you guys want to talk about this, Ashley and Susan, when she said, she'd like to see 50-50, but until you comply with her order, and she knows this hurts the children, but if you just comply with her order, then she'll start to do that. Man, that one really got me. I think only a nut job and a wackadoo would say something like that. What do you guys say?
She's missing the whole point of why she's there. And it is to do and not listen to what these children want, which I don't feel that the guardian ad litem is relaying that much either. But I do feel like that they're having conversations behind the scenes. I do know that it has been very one-sided from the very beginning. When I had the first conversation with the guardian ad litem, and I mean, one thing that I told her, she honed in on that one thing, and then one thing was could be possibly construed as negative against Ashley. And she hones in on that part. And they used every single thing that was against from the very beginning. To say that it causes trauma, it does. I cannot even believe this. This has given me a whole new education in the world of something that I didn't even know would exist. I felt like if you told the truth and you did the right thing, that the truth would be seen, that people would be able to see through, that a whole family has taken out charges against her. 5 different people, well, 4 plus the girlfriend. And then these things have been done in this town that, I mean, there's so many details to it. There's so much overwhelming trauma that has happened from all of it. And it has devastated our family. It has devastated these children. I'm the one, I've got video after video after video of these children screaming that they want mommy and they want me to take them to their mother. And he's, especially the little one who he can't even wrap his brain around it. But to not even hear, to not even listen, and to only listen to one side. I mean, like I said, opposing counsel, and I don't know if I said that earlier, but opposing counsel has made it such a circus and has filed so many motions, and after 10 motions, and they usually have to do about a Facebook post or a TikTok that she's done.
Even one asking for prayers for my kids that has nothing to do with anybody besides me and what's happened to me personally. And I've been,
but they use that, and that's what the whole court proceedings are about. They're about
shutting me up is what they want me to just be quiet.
And the opposing counsel has requested that she sign something that she won't talk anymore, or that she won't make any more TikToks.
I was on a gag order for a year.
She was. And for these things to be hidden, and you know, and for the longest time, because we had not any experience with any of this, so we were just scared and trying to listen and didn't know what to do. And then the more that I'm seeing is the more that this stuff has to be talked about. This stuff has to be exposed, that this stuff. And I kept coming from a teacher's background. I kept saying, how can they bring your health out in the middle of court? I mean, as a teacher, I was shocked. I kept asking that question too. I did for so long. And then when I typed in legal bullying in the middle of the night, one night, you know, I couldn't sleep, as I have not done so many nights. And then you popped up, book a talk, you know, and I thought, and I went down and was reading some of the things, and I was like, check. Every single bullet was our situation. But I've been told by everyone that they had made it such a circus, like even by other lawyers that has looked at what has happened with her. They're like, nobody would touch that with a 10-foot pole. And it's so tied up and with chaos and stupidity that they lost complete focus of what the real issues are. Like,
they don't care, Susan, because they're making money. There's money to be made. Trust me when I tell you. The guy that was talking about child custody, I'm the child support rather. I'm not 100% agreeing with him because he's learning. Like, I can tell he's learning, because there's $12 to every dollar that the state gets for child support. And it's not exactly the way he said it, but at least he's exposing it. He's another viral influencer, you know. But and this woman just said HIPAA laws. Well, there's HIPAA laws and there's PHI, private health information. What she did there was she was diagnosing you, which is not get in your lane, lady. You're supposed to be an unbiased referee. Get in your lane, okay? She's violating laws all over the place, all over. When they talk about being a licensed attorney, there's no such thing. Look at the laws of the Supreme Court. Okay, there's certified bar members. That's what they're supposed to be. When they talk about not practicing law without a license, well, I have the right under the federal codifications, under the Americans with Disability Act, and Jay does too, to aid and assist you any way we need. It's so broad that and that's why judges correct themselves when we go to court. That's why the judge couldn't hold them in contempt.
And is it not public? Like, is it not public anyway? Is it not supposed to be? And yet they go in and won't let anybody in, but then we'll let. It's like my old attorney who was friends with people that dropped me, that let them sit in on my case, but like I can't have an extra set of ears because I mean, I have to tune her out because it's so much stupidity. I sit in there and I'm like, I just put my head down and I try to let her speak. And because I know that if I respond, you know.
She one time, this is what she did one time. She threw down her papers. Okay, we wait months sometimes for the next, every single time we wait months to see the judge, to go back in there and possibly start getting to see the kids again, or something to be done right, or, you know, just a little bit towards her side. And she just throws her papers down and storms out.
I'm not doing anything today. Like, and what
she didn't like her posture.
This last time was because of you, and she wanted to wait and see what we had to say on this stream. So she did nothing for my kids, nothing at all. She said, oh, well, she did say that I needed to pay the GAL her fees. But other than that, said nothing else. And that's been the past, has it been the past 3? And I've been, you know, my brother's getting married. There's things that my children are missing out on, like tons and tons and tons.
Huge life things.
Yeah. And
it's just, it's devastating every single time.
Every day.
Every single time. She can't sleep, you know, days before. I can't either. I mean, you know, and then to get this huge letdown of
every time,
every single time.
Not one time has it been anything like.
I mean, it steers off. It steers off. And honestly, like I keep saying, opposing counsel he is miraculous at just, you know, chasing the squirrels. You know, let's just divert it so we can look at this one unimportant thing and then just talk about. But you know,
meanwhile, my children are living with a real life abuser who has been in bar fights, and they're not worried about that. Every single day, they're being left with drug addicts, and
why would they be? That's what I see all over the country. Children are with abusers. Why would they care?
Right? They don't. They do not care. We're the ones that care about my kids, and we are not able to be. We have our hands tied. I can't do anything. I cannot do anything.
She can't. Your position working with God, or you're working with Satan. And in this case, and these judges are, I believe, very firmly are working with Satan. Satan comes to rob, kill, and destroy. Satan doesn't care about the children. Come on. So that's what this is. This is a mock court. It's God. God is a judge, right? He's a judge. He's a God of love. He judges righteously. Does he discipline? Yes. Does he? But he corrects things. And so God, you know, that's the real justice system. And then what we see here, this is a mockery. This is a counterfeit. This is run by the devil. There's no question, because throughout the years, I've said to myself, my goodness, when I see what I see, and we don't play games with our families. Okay. When I see what I see, and I see the dynamic of the family, and I see a family like yours, that's a good family. You know, you're young, Ashley. You did some cute TikToks. I watch them. You and your children look so happy together. You can see the bond and the love, and you know, you're not doing anything wrong. You're dancing and you're having some fun with your kids and what have you. And you know, you're not doing anything, and she doesn't like that. Well, that's just too bad. You shouldn't be looking at that. You're supposed to not be looking at that. You're supposed to be looking at what's presented before you in the framework of what's happening within the court.
Yeah. Well, she calls you a wackadoo and won't let you in, but yet will totally postpone a whole court date. If you're a wackadoo, why would you even give it any attention? You know?
It's ridiculous. The fact that she said, and I really want to hear Jay weigh in on this, the fact that she said she glanced at it. So, and that it was a bunch of stuff. No, it's really not. It basically states the court. It states the case. It states you. It states my title and what I do. And it states what accommodations we did a screening with you. My team did a screening with you, not to judge. It's not the judge's position to tell you what your accommodation.
Or my attorneys. She was acting like it was his, like let her in the courtroom and she'll tell you herself. But
now, if a person, and let me try to, hopefully she'll get a lesson today if her and her judge friends are watching. The thing is that, and I say this all the time, but I would like her to get an education today. Hopefully she'll learn something. If a man or woman came in a wheelchair, you would never ask them what's wrong with them. And you know that they could not even be disabled. They could just be rolling in if they wanted to, and you still can't ask them. That's how broad the laws are and so protective that they are. And so if they came in, you didn't have to go to the ADA coordinator and ask for accommodations. You would just come up the ramp, come into the court, and be left alone. But they think when it comes to psychological injury, which, like I said, cannot be adjudicated, what they think is that, well, I'm the judge, so I need to know what's wrong with you. And you know what? You can come in with your wheelchair, and we'll let you come up the ramp. But once you get inside, we're going to put your wheelchair over there, and we're going to ask you to slide across the floor into the chair. because this is how I see it, even though I'm not, in that position. And so that's what they're doing with invisible injury. They're telling you, we need to know what you have wrong with you. They're discriminating against you. She thinks she's going to adjudicate the disability. She thinks she's going to tell you I was concerned about her mental health. Really, like, I'm concerned about this judge's mental health, if you want to know the truth, because of her mannerism and the way she acts. It's very alarming and very concerning. And go ahead, Jay. I know you're like ready to rock and roll on this one.
The ad hominem attacks of the judge, who is supposed to be professional and courteous, calling you wackadoo, insinuating there needs to be mental health evaluations. I mean, she called you wackadoo several times, nut job several times, and that is beneath the dignity for a judge to do. I mean, it's just,
I can sue her.
I'm as quick as anybody else. Well, actually, I'm quicker than anybody else to call a judge a punk or other select names. But
I might have told her what I thought in the beginning of it. And I think that's what led to some of the biased, as soon as she said third party facility and didn't even know what was going on. Yeah, I unleashed but I didn't know, so I kept questioning myself like, oh, I did the wrong thing, which I took my punishment, every bit of it, every 30 days of it.
I mean, I can sue her for what she's done. I want to show you guys something, and I do want to hear Jay, because this right here, I don't know if you guys can see this. This was a gift.
Hold it up higher. There you go. All right, good.
It was given to me by my best friend. As you can see, it's the scales of justice, and they're even, they're balanced. And the Bible talks about this too, about, unbalanced scales being wicked to the Lord. And so if, my best friend gave me this, and, I remember like she had sent me this, and she said, if anybody can balance the scales, it's you, and the thing is that I don't know if I can, but I'm trying, I can tell you that much. But the point is that, like, if we had balanced scales, if this judicial system worked properly, we wouldn't have to be here. All these children, Thomas Falva wouldn't be dead, Mason DeCosmo wouldn't be dead, all these children. And it's not just the ones that have been killed. It's the violence, it's the abuse, it's the separation. There's so much. And
this could have easily happened to my kids. They have been pulled out of drowning pools. They've been in they wrecked a car with my son, and he wasn't in his car seat.
Recently at a social gathering at the local,
found by himself. He's been staying with strangers and the local barflies. And I don't even know where they are, who these people are. I've heard bad things about them in town, but to know that my 5-year-old is staying overnight with these children, and with actually people that I know have abused and been abusive to people that I know personally. So my worry and my anxiety is every second of every single day. And it's been going on for 2.5 years like that.
And then me as her mother, I see this, and it's just, and my mom, I mean, we're all just so completely, like I said, traumatized by it all. And I just keep saying, God's got a higher purpose in this. He's using this situation for whatever it is. And I haven't been able to figure it out. I do know that it was no coincidence that I found you, because we've been helpless. I mean, completely hands open, nobody being able to give us any ideas except for shh, be quiet, don't say anything.
Said something on Facebook,
well, I just wish
that's all. Whenever these things happen to me, that's the least I can do. I mean, I want to go jerk my kids away from them and take them and bring them home.
Right.
We use our mouths. I mean, it's just, it's a form of therapy.
But I don't, because I'm not allowed because of the court orders.
One of the most torturing and painful things you can do to somebody is do what these judges are doing by ripping children from their loving caretakers like this. It's beyond, evil isn't even the right word for it. It's beyond that. Jay has something to say. I'm going to go ahead and give you the whole screen, Jay.
So Anne Lamott said in her book, Bird by Bird, says, you own everything that happened to you. tell your stories. If people wanted you to write warmly about them, they should have behaved better. And that goes to what's going on with the court. If the court wants to be seen in a positive light, then the court needs to behave properly. And Judge, if you want me to keep this off of Facebook, then there's only one reason that could be, is because you're ashamed of how you're acting. And so I'm just going to let you know right now, I'm probably going to put it on Facebook even more. I'm going to put it, I'm not on Facebook personally, but I mean, I do TikTok. And, I think the only way to win is to embarrass the hell out of them. And that's what Jesus did. When they came to Jesus and asked questions, and Jesus would turn around and ask a question that would embarrass the hell out of them. And so when he did that, it evened the scales. And the only way to do this is to say, this judge, the emperor, has no clothes on.
I've said that.
It's just the only way. I mean, you can't.
I say it all the time.
People are scared of the system, and it's time to stop being scared of the system. It's time to treat judges like they treat us. It's time to hold them accountable, whether it's in a proper court or the court of public opinion. And the court of public opinion is very powerful. And that's why they don't want you to say anything. And to that, I asked my best friend to stick up for me like he always does.
Amen. He always does.
And I'm not going to do it on this video, but I just about did it right then.
Well, it's the truth. And let me say, I mean, I see these cases for the past close to 16. We're really pushing. I'm getting right there. October will be 16 years of seeing court judges across the country. I've seen some of the most horrendous, awful, horrible cases that I say, Lord, how is this going to overturn? How is this going to change? And it does. He does. He does. Okay. It is something that it wasn't built in a minute, and it didn't take a minute to unravel it, but it does happen. I'm living proof of it. My clients, I mean, go look on Facebook, you see testimony after testimony. Okay. And I know that every child saved is a child saved from child trafficking. It's that simple. And this judge and others that might not say, well, child trafficking means, doing, what? No, it doesn't. When you move a body against its will from one place to the other, you've trafficked it. The end. It's a violation of every single law we have in this country. Our fundamental liberty interests are violated. That's why I say these judges really don't have immunity. They gave themselves immunity, just like these courts are fake. They were not voted in by the people, not in any state or congressionally. They were not voted in. That is treason on American soil. And then we wonder why we've got this disaster that we look at. Okay. But Jay, thank you for that. I mean, if without God, I couldn't do this. There's no possible way. There's no possible way. I could not. So, and I know that every single day. That's why I know it's like we pray for wisdom and he gives it, and we win cases. And, this judge, I knew right away when I saw that she has to be exposed. Okay. Just like the one that Jay did had to be exposed. And there's many more. I mean, we've gotten the media to take on our stories where most of the time they won't. Okay. So like Judge McGinty, I mean, he can't go to lunch or out to dinner somewhere without people knowing who he is now. I mean, and he still sits on the bench, but lots of them we've gotten removed. This one, she violated multiple canons. She's violated your ADA. I can sue her now. Jay, I can sue her now. There's no question about it. I can sue her. I mean,
you haven't seen the last two though, because
there is so much more.
Oh, so you don't even have a clue. But just the last two times, she blocked
this. Worse than this.
Do you have the last?
She won't let us get the video. She won't let us get the new video. The one from last Tuesday when she didn't do anything. They have a new rule. We went to print it,
just since
and there's a new rule in our county that says that the judge has to sign off for my public videos.
Well, she's never going to give you a video again after this.
But she said no, of course, and now, yeah.
And
so
then,
now it's just it.
And then our attorney was like, "That's never been done before." Like,
if you invoke the ADA with this, and I don't know, I'm not going to talk to you about disability personally, but for instance, some of my clients have trauma from their court cases, and they go get that documented. And if they have that and it causes a dissociation in court, then there's a communication issue that they need to go and ask for the recordings. And that's under 28 CFR 35.104, I think it is, or 130, I can't remember which. But the audio recordings and other similar services and actions are part of auxiliary aids and services. And they also can't surcharge you for those. So if you ask for it as an ADA, accommodation so that you can recall what was going on in the
And
hearing.
I do, I need that, truly.
I just got that for another client of mine, and under CART, which was
Breaking up.
Oh, I am? Can you hear me now? I just got that under another client of mine who got free transcripts and free audio. And in your document, it says CART. It's there. You guys can hear me or not hear me? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yes, and they're supposed to, but obviously, she glanced at it and she thinks she's the end-all be-all of the ADA. She's not the end-all be-all of the ADA at all. It's not even her role. And also, here's another thing. When she talked about ex parte, what they were doing was ex parte communication. Okay, they violated ex parte communication. We didn't, because you're supposed, in every court, there's supposed to be a designated named ADA coordinator for people like myself to coordinate with. It's got nothing to do with the judge. Most of them are very ignorant of that. And it's mandated through the Department of Justice. Okay, and it is if you want to call it ex parte, it's not. So the person they directed us to, I forgot her name, she was pleasant. She said, oh my goodness, I have a husband that, went through this, that, and the other, and I understand invisible injury. And of course not, this court would never do that. And they did exactly the opposite. They violated your ADA and they kept me out. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. So, was I clear or glitchy?
Can't hear him.
He's on mute.
Yeah,
Very,
he's on mute.
very glitchy.
Oh.
Gosh, I don't know what's going on.
We heard you pretty clear. We heard you clearly.
Okay, all right. So that's the story. But I mean, I think we got it out the way we needed to show the world, and spread this. I don't know if there's anything else anybody else wants to add. This is a longer video than normal. I usually do this in an hour, but I had a lot here to show. I'm sorry for the choppiness of the video. I have a feeling they were, it's like whenever I do the Megan Walsh, John Walsh stories, I get so tampered with that you can't hear. Oh, you said you heard me clearly? Good, I'm glad. But does anybody want to add anything before we wrap up tonight?
Everybody pray that something happens and I'm reunited with my children immediately. Same prayer I've been praying for 2.5 years now.
And me, and I keep saying it's going to happen. We're going to be reunited with them.
Pray that maybe they can come to my brother's wedding and
it will, and we are.
Come home. They need to be home.
They want to be
They
here.
want to be home.
Well,
yeah. I saw them at the facility tonight, actually. And
if Kentucky wants to do the right thing, they should remove this judge. She should be disqualified from your case. Okay. She should not have the option to recuse. She needs to go. Okay. There needs to be a complaint filed with the Committee on Judicial Conduct there in Kentucky on your behalf with regards to her. And you need a fair and unbiased judge. You need a fair, impartial, unbiased judge. That's the right that you have. This is ridiculous.
We asked, and she asked, and she refused to.
Well, she offered, a while, and then it was like, then whenever it came down to it, we asked her, and she says no, that she's qualified to do it, and that. So, and I kept giving her the benefit of the doubt and waiting on her to do the right thing and figure it out. And it just never happens. It never happens.
It's a disgrace.
I had heard that she was a good person and that she goes home and cries about her cases. So I kept waiting on this person to come out like it's going to be like, oh my goodness, I've made the wrong decision. Here's your kids back. And it never happens.
I remember a judge years ago, and I heard a child. This was one of the most. I've seen so many things. This child was being adopted out away from his family. He was his teens. Okay, this is not a good story. So if you guys suffer trauma, you may want to be prepared for this. And yes, Jay is on certified _ADA advocate for those that are asking on TikTok.
My website is ADArightstrust.com. ADArightstrust.com.
Okay. So anyway, the kid was actually grabbing onto the wall and holding himself to the wall because he didn't want to be adopted out. Okay. He's clinging, like digging in. I was in tears. Okay. And this was going back. Now we're going back like maybe my first year. So I didn't know what to do. And of course, the way I am, I wanted to just go save his life. And then I hear Judge Mizell at the time. She literally suffered 7 strokes and still continued to harm people. Her face was actually going to one side, and it still didn't stop her. Okay, God, I believe in his infinite mercy and wisdom allows people to suffer so they would repent. She did not. Okay, we would literally watch her fall asleep on the bench and then place an order. How do you do that? Okay, but we've seen drunk judges, we've seen it all. Okay, most of them are on drugs and alcohol because they have no conscience left. But anyway, so I actually wanted to knock her off her loop. Okay, when I heard her say she just loves adoptions, this child would not let go of the wall. It was one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of heartbreak. How can you love this? Like as if it's glorified. You're taking children from biological family lines. No one thinks that's mad science and kind of sick because you have this false narrative that biological parents are abusive, when in reality it's foster parents. And yes, there's abusers in family court, okay, but you're taking them from the protective and you're giving them to the abuser. So stop your lying. We've got your game. You could try to silence
That's
us.
why another reason I've been so afraid to say or do, because actually I know one of my friends here in town was put into foster by this same judge when she was a senior in high school, taken away from her grandmother who loved her and put into 5 different homes, one of which she was with an abuser.
Yeah.
This same judge. So that's been also, I've had to be careful because, oh gosh, if I do this, what if she would not even bat an eye.
Or if she said if the wrong things were said about the opposing team. It's like, to me, it's like the King Solomon story, the 2 moms, both of them were claiming. And I feel like that she's been having to put herself, like, for fear that the CPS would be brought in and then they would take them away from
him too,
and so that's the fear of saying, because people have advised her, well, I would get, CPS involved because, then they would take them away. They wouldn't do what is logical and give them back to her. They would take them away from them and put them in foster care.
Well, let me tell you something. So CPS has no authority unless a judge has a signed order on something. Okay, people think that
that has been the fear. That has been my fear. That's been her fear.
I understand that, but what I want to say is that every judge in this country has something that's called broad discretion, and because there's really no oversight, they can do whatever they want, and no one cares because there is no oversight all the way up the food chain. You don't care how high you go. Less than 2% of appeals are overturned because it's a joke. The whole system's corrupted. So they could do the right thing. They choose not to do the right thing. She could easily order her. I've seen judges that are sick and tired of me exposing them. Give the kids back. Just give them back. They just do it from the bench, order it from the bench, and that's it. It's done. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen multiple times. Okay, I show up and boom, kids are being returned. Okay, just like that. Not always. I mean, Jay and I know we fought some years worth of fights for some. Okay, but it just depends on how much exposure they're getting or whatever it is, whatever that key turns out to be the one. But they can do the right thing. They choose not to do the right thing. I'm going to have Jay wrap the show up this evening because we have gone way over time. But share this like wildfire on all of your venues, everyone. And I really appreciate those of you that are watching. If you're not subscribed to YouTube, please be sure to subscribe. Turn on the bell icon for future programs. We're also on Rumble, Punish for Protecting News, and Facebook. Jay, I'm going to have you do the closing regarding what you witnessed tonight. And thank you, Ashley and Susan.
I think the more people share this video, the better off we are, because this is just exemplary of what people deal with in the court systems. And there's so many people that deal with this. It's not an exception. It's a rule. And these judges that sit on courts across America that have immunity and even some states even have laws, and there's case law too, that says that even if they do something malicious, they can't be held responsible because of judicial immunity. I mean, honestly, that's just BS. I mean, if you want a court that is just, honest, fair, and has impartiality and integrity, then the court's going to need to have a judge that can be held accountable. And the impartiality integrity piece of the judicial canons is violated in every court across America because none of these judges are willing to stand accountable. And I mean, I'm in federal court right now suing one of them in Nevada. And their only concern is getting out of that case. And I mean, how dare you hold us accountable? Well, there's going to be more of this to come. And so just letting you know, the more you share things like this, the better off everybody's going to be. And I'm just going to say too that I've enjoyed spending this evening with Francesca and Ashley and Susan. And so I'm thankful to have been here. I'm honored to have been here, and hope this gets the word out.
Thank you.
Thank you.